Bain Farm fans. We're on an adventure today. Not quite out in the wilderness, but it is much hillier here. We're out east, about an hour towards the Amish, and we got a whole bunch of greenhouse supplies to pick up, like all of them. That's why we're in the flatbed. Yep, dirt, pots, everything. And there's gonna be a bunch. It's easier access than last year. They moved into a new barn. Now the dirt's up there in that barn in the hill underneath the sun, which we can't see. This fine establishment is Wanger's Produce of Bainbridge, Ohio. We've been buying our greenhouse supplies here probably for 5 years or so. They've slowly grown. They're in a hot area for vegetable production. That'll be discussed a little later in the video. Now, this is why it's an adventure, because the pallets of potting mix are loaded by hand with a little fork cart. It's part of the adventure. It's not too horrendous. We've got that little ramp there, and with a few of us pushing and pulling, it really beats having to move all the bags by hand. Rome wasn't built in a day. I have high hopes that they will acquire a forklift. Now, at least the new addition for this year was a more easily accessible barn for all their supplies, plus the building of the roof over the pallets of potting soil, because it didn't have a roof in years past, so the dirt would be sometimes moist. The potting soil will take on moisture from rain and ambient air, and it gets heavy. This will be about a 4,000-pound load. The weight of the soil will be discussed later. One more pallet to go. This one was loaded crossways because we didn't have enough room to turn it, and it may have been the way it was leaning. It was leaning away from the camera, so it was good to go into the stack in front of it. Now, these are very tall pallets. They're over 6 foot tall, and they will get strapped down, if only to look good, because they're so airy you can collapse them so much, and then you'll start ripping bags and everything else to get a good, tight strap. It was a somewhat squeaky ride listening to the metal hooks on the straps and the frame of the bed flop around on the way home. Well, wasn't that some exciting loading? You can see how close we are to the dock on the side. Hopefully we can get out of here. There's a mud puddle on our side. It would help if we were in gear to get out of here. Yeah, here we go, rolling away. And we didn't get stuck too bad. Might have added to the ruts a little bit. Kind of hard to get the Amish on video, so they're not into that whole sort of thing, so very limited filming out here, but we had some fun loading. No forklift, that's part of the adventure. Let's see the shop coming up from the other way. Almost have everything on this trip.
The old rows of tomatoes there.
I think those are peppers, actually. Peppers or eggplant.
They do a lot of peppers.
We're probably less than 2 miles away from the extension agency set up a produce auction, and the Amish have swarmed to raising produce out here now. But it makes it nice to get supplies, because I used to have to go across the state to get all this stuff. And the big supplier that was sort of local shut down. By local, I mean an hour away. It's still an hour away, but they got a lot of stuff on hand. I don't know if we can see it. You can see the hill in the background, that hill. And then right there, beyond those mini sheds, is where the produce auction is. And yeah, I don't know, we're less than 2 miles. May only be a mile away from where we just picked up all the greenhouse supplies. They're still back there. But it's hard to get anything tight with a strap because it's all like the dirt is soft and the pots pots and everything. There's a lot of air in it, so it collapses. Makes it all too interesting, I guess. So we'll see you guys at home, hopefully. Or if anything goes terribly awry, I'm sure you'll see it. I'll end the greenhouse video with some information here. I'm sure somebody may want to know. So it's most interesting that this potting mix is made in Canada because, well, there's peat bogs, and that's what they use in a lot of this potting soil. It's not really soil. Medium's a better name for it because there's nothing soil about it. It's kind of a fiber, the peat moss, and I can't tell you exactly what all else is in it, but it's made to hold water in it. It's a high carbon based substance coming out of the ground. Maybe some shredded wood pieces that are very fine. Obviously, the peat moss. That's 57 bags per pallet. That's quite interesting. It's about 1,700 pounds. That's dry. Because if we notice, if we look at these stacks, see, they're stacked to be in like a semi-box trailer. Now these were bagged December 13th, but see, this stack is over 6 foot tall. When they get wet, this will weigh more than a ton. Now it seems to be fairly dry. This bag has a little rip in it, and if that's not wet, that's comparatively dry material. But I've seen these where they store them outside, they get soaking wet, and then they weigh 2,500 pounds. That's no fun. Up here in the concrete block garage is the stack of all the plasticware. There's a lot of plastic used in the greenhouse industry. Looks like we're going to be having terracotta hanging baskets this year. A lot of it comes down to what we can get our hands on. The flats are a fairly standard size. These are for cell packs. I don't see any flats of pots, easy access. Here's an old one. They hold 15 4-inch pots. Some of the stuff we can reuse if our customers bring it back, like the flats and the pots, are very good. The hanging baskets get brittle and they'll break. And then we can see some cell packs that were probably holding our vegetables last year, that since we used them ourselves, we were able to keep them as full trays. We'll reuse those, but typically once they've been ripped apart, like the cell packs are here in these plastic bags. I guess I could break into one a little bit to show you. They come as full trays, and there's different sizes. This kind of shows you how they lay together. These look like 1204s. I shouldn't be opening this so much, but I am. Where, see, one pack there has 4 plants, and there's 12 of these that fit in a flat as such. There's a lot of pots in the boxes. I'm not sure what else. We'll have to break into them. These aren't very well labeled. There, this one's labeled.
4.5-inch square press fit pot, black. Okay, these are either trays or pots, probably pots, because you can't put the pots in a loose fit like that. And now we have peat pots down here. We'll put our own vegetables in those. That way we can just put the whole thing in the ground real easy for quick planting. It is kind of rough on the plants to pull them out, especially when we are putting in 1,000 tomato plants and all the rest. We'll have all 30 or so flats of vegetables at least for ourselves. And that gets to be a lot pulling the plants out. The pots are easy. They come apart and away we go. Now we're in the small greenhouse behind the house, not in the actual big greenhouse. If you can see the siding behind me, it kind of functions like a sunroom. We're holding out as long as possible before we have to move into the big greenhouse, but that's going to be coming very soon. We've got hanging baskets made up. They got a ways to grow. My glasses are fogging because it's very humid in here. Everything on the left here is ready to be transplanted up. Quite a bit of stuff from the rooming bed is also ready to be transplanted up. Peppers are started comparatively early, although we have some early tomatoes down low here. So yes, this is the early stages of the greenhouse. And kind of the reason why we're not moving into the big house real quick is, well, heating. So we have to heat the whole greenhouse, and that uses a lot of what's expensive propane right now. So we'll end this fun farming video looking at a few blooms. Most of this we start from seed. Now these things that are already blooming in these narrower trays, Mom went to a greenhouse and bought because they're more challenging. They require closer monitored and warmer environments to get them started. I mean, we have the warming bed out here, but the ambient air temperature at times will get down into the 50s at night. And these are more exotic plants that like the heat, so they probably maintain a 70-degree greenhouse at night, which can take quite a bit of fuel to keep them heated that well. So we'll look at some of the small sprouts. This type of pepper did not germinate very well. You can see a lot of them started. You can see that maybe they, nope, there's some fuzz on that one. I think a fungus might have got a few of those plants. But most of the rest of the peppers did well. Jalapenos, some sweet bananas. These are yellow peppers. They didn't do well. Oh, dahlias, some kind of marigold. Those look like impatiens. The coleus. The grow lights are very UV looking, very like purple violet almost. And the begonias, man, these things grow slow. Those have been down there a while.